Welcome to the Redefine Podcast. All right, welcome back to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Today is Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Well, as of the release of this episode, that means tomorrow is the Redefine Network Marketing event. Tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday, Redefine Network Marketing is happening live on Zoom, virtual event. It's not too late to register, so if you haven't registered yet, go to ronniecruz.com/redefine. All right, so we're going to continue our conversation from yesterday and talk about putting on your first paid offering, your first paid course. Yesterday, I talked about the emotional roller coaster that can really contribute to your overwhelm when doing something like this, when doing something new, especially doing something that's a paid offering where the stakes are higher. The other thing that can add to overwhelm is just the sheer mechanics, right? Not knowing the logistics of putting on a live event, whether it's virtual or not. Even with virtual events, they can be pretty intensive as far as the mechanics go. And even with this one coming up, I don't necessarily feel that I have it where I want it in terms of the mechanics and the logistics of it, right? Like it's not exactly as pretty and refined as I was hoping it would be, but it's still going to go on regardless because of I just want to do it, right? I set my date on May 4, 5, and 6, so I gave myself this target to do this thing. Anyways, the thing about logistics and the mechanics of putting on a paid offering is that there's a lot, right? And if you're like me, if you're a creative, we just like to create. We don't pay attention to logistics and mechanics. We create our thing and we share it, right? Like that's our main thing, and that's what we want to focus on. Given that, especially in the early stages of your journey, it's just us, right? We're a company of one person, so we have to wear a lot of hats, and we have to pay attention to the logistics and the mechanics of all this stuff. Otherwise, none of our stuff ever gets out, and we never make any money. So logistics is an important consideration. I would say my advice is take your time. Take it one step at a time so that you don't get overwhelmed. Remember, overwhelm is the killer, right? It will throw you off, and you'll end up not following through and seeing your dream to fruition. So don't rush yourself. Don't rush yourself. Take your time. Take it one piece at a time. With me, this is what it looked like in terms of the mechanics, right? A lot of moving pieces, obviously. So I took it one piece at a time. The first was registration, right? Registration for an event. I don't know how to set it up. So I had to figure that out. And so I focused on that particular angle, that particular mechanic, when I did my influencer masterclass back in March, right? It was a 3-day event, 1 hour a day, and it was free. So there wasn't as much pressure, and there wasn't, it wasn't super high stakes. But the main focus for the mechanic side was registration and emails, right? Getting people registered and then being able to send out emails to all the registrants. So that was fine. I got that handled. Then I got to April. I did the network marketing and the digital age seminar. I did that multiple times actually. So the registration part was like, okay, yeah, no big deal. I got that done. How do I collect money? So I figured that part out, and I was able to do pre-sales for the May 4th event that's happening tomorrow. So you see how with each event, with each course, I've added another mechanic, another logistic, or multiple mechanics and multiple logistics, right? If I had tried to do that all at once, and with my first thing being a paid course, I would have been too overwhelmed. There would have been too much to handle on top of the content, on top of the emotional journey, right? All right. So the main, I think, idea, the main principle behind yesterday and today's episode is alleviate as much of the overwhelm as you can. Yesterday, obviously, we talked about that, but today it's just taking it one bite at a time and taking it one step at a time. I know that the notion is, I want you to make money as quickly as possible. And of course I do. I want you to make money as quickly as possible. But I also want you to understand that this is not a short-term thing, right? Like you're in this thing to build something long-term for yourself, and to rush into turning a profit at the expense of potentially, being overwhelmed and throwing in the towel and never seeing it through in the first place, then which would you rather do? take your time and get a handle on one mechanic and one logistic at a time, right? Obviously. So yeah, just consider that. Just consider that. Also, the other thing that that allowed me to do, right? Not only did it allow me to be able to kind of manage each mechanic and logistic, and now get a good handle on it, but however, it also allowed me to put my primary focus for each of those events, right? It allowed me to put my primary focus and energy on the content, right? Because I wasn't overwhelmed with the mechanics, because I was only doing one mechanic at a time, one logistic at a time. Then I could really always focus on the content. And that's what I want you to do. Focus on the value that you're providing with each piece of content that you're putting out there. Whether it's paid content, whether it's free content, content has to be your primary focus. The value that you put in, right? The value that you put in. If you deliver a high level of value in your content, if you over deliver in your courses, whether they're paid or free, then all the other kind of frills and the bells and whistles doesn't matter. Like if it goes sideways, if you have technical difficulties, or if the Zoom doesn't work, your internet goes out, whatever it might be, as long as the content is of high value and you over deliver every time, none of the foibles and the mistakes of the logistics really will even matter. And none of it will matter. You can really bare bones it and just bootstrap this thing with doing a Zoom and sending out a very, very basic email registration, and you can make lots of money just doing that, and as long as you're providing high value and over delivering in your content, right, in the course. So that's the primary, and that's what alleviating overwhelm will allow you to do, is over deliver, right? Because that's what you always want to do. That's the mentality of excellence. That's the mentality of a high achiever, regardless of whatever else is going on in terms of like, it doesn't look pretty enough, and production value, and et cetera. Well, as long as you're delivering the content at a high level, then it's going to take care of itself. Everything takes care of itself. Now, I will, of course, get back to you after it's done and let you know how it goes. I'll share with you my reflections once the event is done. I would wager to say that I'll be critical. It's normal, and I think what ends up happening is when you do an event, you end up thinking that it went a lot worse than it actually did, right? Right. And I think it ends up always going better than you think it did. And again, I'll share with you my experience once that happens. Once we're done with the event, I'll talk about it on the show. So, I mean, all the more reason to, number one, register for the event and join us at the Redefined Network Marketing event, virtual, or also subscribe to the show, right? If you're watching this video and you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe so you know how it goes, and I will share with you, how the story ends, right? And also, if you're listening to this on the podcast, hit the plus sign at the top of the app, and you'll know how it goes, because I'll be sharing my reflections in a few days. But that's my main message. My main message for today, and really just a summation from yesterday as well, is alleviate as much of the overwhelm as possible, both from the emotional side, manage that, and the logistics and mechanics side, manage that, so that you can healthily make progress to the eventuality of a paid offering, and that way your primary focus can and always should stay on the content, the value in the content that you're delivering. All right, so that's it. That's the message for today. More from me tomorrow. So until then, be well, be safe. We'll see you in the next episode.